Greetings, everyone. I hope you all are well. It's Motivational Mondays. It's a thing. So today we have our special guest, Felice Martin, who is another entrepreneur that I love highlighting because entrepreneurship is like one of the most difficult things that you can do in life. You know, it's really simple to go to work and you work your job and you come home and, you know, you live your life. But entrepreneurship is like almost 24 hours a day, it feels like. But as long as you have your systems in place, once you have your systems in place and you are disciplined and consistent, it makes it flow a lot easier.
Yes.
Felice Martin, I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, where you went to college, and let's start there.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Motivational Mona. Yay! Yes. I am actually from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and yes, there are Black people in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That is the home of Black Wall Street. Okay. And so I am a descendant and a legacy of Black Wall Street.
Wow.
And so I know that's where I got my entrepreneurial spirit from. I was able to tap into that. In addition to that, I did attend Langston University, which is in Langston, Oklahoma, LU in the house.
HBC.
Yes. And so happy about that. And then went on to University of Southern California to get my master's in public administration. And then my last venture into education was at Mercer University here in Atlanta, Georgia. And that's where I got my degree in clinical mental health counseling. And so that's where I say I really embraced my calling, which is to help people transform their lives, to move from bondage into freedom. So that's Felice Martin.
So when you say bondage, what do you mean by bondage?
Oh, I mean emotional bondage, mental bondage, those traumas and stories that keep people, keep us all indebted or ingrained in those narratives that we've told ourselves.
Or we've been taught.
And
accepted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a story that I had read. And the story is about is a story about a little girl and her father. She wanted to go to the circus. She really loved the circus to go see the elephants. And so her father worked it out, took her to see the elephants. She was real close, right in front, so she could see all the elephants. You could see how, like everything, you know, their skin, everything, really close. So afterwards, her father took her, they were able to go in the back and talk to the trainers, because what her father found interesting is that they only have like a rope on the leg of the elephant. And so the father was like so puzzled, like, how in the world you only have a rope on the leg of the elephant? Right. And so the trainer was like, when they're babies, we put chains on them with heavy weights where they can't move. So they can't move.
Yes.
And so as they get bigger, they don't have to put the chain no more.
Right.
They just put rope because it's in their mind that they're thinking like, oh, I can't move.
Yes.
So they don't move.
Exactly.
And that's our society.
Exactly. And we just keep rehearsing the same story over and over and over again until one day we say enough is enough.
Right.
And so when you talk about entrepreneurship, I was an entrepreneur when I was a little girl. We used to make pot holders. I had my team. I had my system in place. We make those pot holders. I had my sales team. We would go around. We had our target audience, and our target audience, we would go sell to the elder people in our community. And we would sell the pot holders, and that's how we would make our 5, 10, 15, 25 cents. Yes. And so I always wondered what inside of me, what was there inside of me that made me have this entrepreneurial spirit? Mm-hmm. I didn't know when you talk about basically the trauma, you know, we're keeping these elephants at an early age with keeping them in bondage. I didn't realize that my family, they were entrepreneurs. I know they had the funeral home and all of that, but I didn't know the story.
Right.
I didn't know that property was burned down in the 1921 race massacre. I didn't know that. I didn't know the fight. You know, but I did know in my blood there was always something inside of me that said I didn't want to work for anybody else.
I mean,
right?
my father, he had his own tailoring shop for over 35 years in Washington, D.C., downtown Washington, D.C.
Wow.
So
awesome.
right near the Capitol, not too far from the Capitol. So he was like in the thick of it, you know. And we were like, whoa. I mean, my godfather, Peter Bug, owns a shoe repair shop. So I was always surrounded by entrepreneurs. And even as a little girl, the concept of working 40 hours, it never resonated with me.
Right.
Even with my mom, when I was about to graduate from high school, she was like, what you gonna do? I'm like, okay. I'm gonna be real, just vulnerable right now.
Yes.
Because when I was a little girl and I watched Peter Pan, I was like, this is the thing right here.
Yes.
This makes sense. I don't want to grow up.
Yeah.
This does not look fun. You know, like I don't want to be an adult. No.
Yeah.
But so I was forced, like, you got to do something. So I was like, I'll just go to cooking school. I never did good in school, but when I got to cooking school, and this is a part of like your environment, right? Like when I got to cooking school, I was like all A's at the top of my class.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But when I was in high school, I barely graduated.
Yes.
You know, so this environment.
Yes, it really does matter.
Super important.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And even like to your point, I know for me, I did well in school. My motivation was I don't want to get in trouble. Okay. And so I did enough to get by, did well, but I excelled when I went to grad school to become a therapist.
Okay.
I did because that was my passion. That was my calling. And not only was, but it is, I read all my books. Like, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so interesting. And so when you're doing what you love, then like they say, the money will follow.
Exactly.
Right. And so we do that so that we can continue to give and change the world. And so I can definitely relate to that story, that passion.
Okay. So now I want you to kind of pivot and tell us about what you do. Like, what do you do here?
Yeah.
So we're here in her office today. So what does Felice Martin do?
Wow, that is a power-packed story. What I say, if I had to sum it up in a few words, I would say that I help people move again from bondage to freedom.
Okay.
And I help people on their journey. When people come in, you'll see what's one of the signs that I have here says enjoy the journey.
Okay.
Because life can be hard. We have ups and downs. And so I help people to come in to not only understand their journey, because their journey is their journey. And I also help them to enjoy the journey, the good parts, the bad parts, not to be stuck in the bad parts. That's when depression, anxiety, and all of those things come into play. So once you make sense to the journey, the different things that we're seeing on the journey, then once you make sense of that, then you're able to put a name to it, you're able to address it, and you're able to continue to move forward. So I help people to enjoy the journey. Right?
So, question. So my question is, a lot of your clients, do they come in and blame, like, it's the reason I'm like this is because of someone else?
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say so, because everybody is different, right? And so some people come in with a level of understanding. They understand the things that have happened.
Okay.
And the way my approach is, I always want people to understand themselves. Who are you? What is your story? And so we do some early memories, early recollections. I look at life as a timeline, you know, so like from 0 to 5, like these things happen even before you were birthed into this world. There was stuff going on around you. So we go deep. We look at what was that relationship. Do you know any stories about the story of your birth? And I ask if kids come in, I ask the moms to talk about their pregnancy. What was that like? And they may wonder why their kid is struggling to focus or just kind of like all over the place. And so what we find is that when that mom was pregnant, there was anxiety. They were dealing with a lot of anxiety, and those chemicals really flow to the child. Or even I have kids or people who were adopted, right? And so even from that, there's a joy of being chosen, if you will, and there's also a pain of being rejected. So what is that story? So when people, I help people not get caught up in their story, right? Because it's easy to make that your identity. And so I help them to look at it. Even if there's some things of, I'm blaming my parents, and I'll try to understand where your parents were coming from. What was going on? There have been people that I've helped who had parents that were the boomers. And so really understanding that your parents behave this way because what was going on in the global, what was going on in society? How did that impact their parenting? How did that impact you? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying this is what it is. So when you look at that puzzle, and you can see these different pieces, then it creates a level of understanding or acknowledgement. Okay, so that's what I do. Blaming, it's not that. And another thing that I do here is not only with my clients, I also train other therapists. So clinicians, in this work, we have to have like 700 hours of in clinical internship. So basically it's like 10 months. And then from there, after they graduate, then we go on and we have to do 2 years under supervision. And so what I love when the college students come in, I love it. And they're just so excited. They're telling me these stories when we go through supervision, and I'm like, okay, all right. So how are you going to help them? What are you going to do? What does that mean? What does their story mean? What are you pulling out from their story? So when we can pull out the discouragement, because that's what people want. They want to be, they are functioning, dealing with anxiety, depression, stress, and all those things because they feel discouraged. So let's get an understanding. And there is, and my perspective is, in all of your get an understanding. So if you understand yourself, then you can understand how you're moving through life, and you can, look at that journey and say, oh, that's really a nice tree over there, or oh no, I don't like that. Okay, so what are we going to do? Are we going to keep it there? Are we going to pull it up, dig it up at the roots? Are we just going to make it look like it's good but it's not? So yeah, that's if someone is blaming, I listen for that stuff. And if they are blaming, let's reframe that. Let's look at it, because always remember, I tell people, you have choices. You have choices. And sometimes I find that it can be challenging for a person to explore like those parent relationships, because they think they might be talking about their parents, or they may think they're trying to blame. I'm like, no, you're not blaming, you're not talking about, you're not judging, you're looking at it for what it is. Now, if you start blaming and judging, that's when you get stuck. Okay. So yeah. And the thing is that why I love doing this is because this is stuff I had to do for myself.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So I watched some of your, but I want to touch on, like, what are the steps? What do you do here? Like, if someone is looking at this and they're like, do I need this service that you're providing? What would you say? Even if you don't, you may be in a space where I'm like, maybe I need a therapist, or I'm feeling a little down or whatever. What do you do here to help with that?
Yes, and so the first step is to, in terms of systems, the very first step is to do a consultation.
Okay.
And that's like a 15-minute free phone consultation. And the thing is that I may not be the right fit, but I do have other therapists that they can work with, or this office may not be the right fit, and it's okay. I know people, okay, and so we can refer out. So that's the first step.
Okay,
that is the very first step. Let's do a consultation, and some of those questions are what at this point, what is bringing you here? What made you decide to even reach out? And so I'm listening. Is this person really ready?
Okay.
And I tell them I'm intense, because if you tell me you're drowning, look, I'm gonna help you.
Okay.
But one thing that I'm not gonna drown.
I know that's
trying to help.
I know that's
right. So look, I'm gonna throw you a lifeline. But that's the first step. Let's do a consultation, and then ask me questions. Ask me questions, because this is a relationship. It's a therapeutic relationship. I do have, like, some people may be dealing with anxiety. Okay. And so if they're dealing with anxiety, I ask, what does it look like? And if it's somatic or body, I do have a therapist here who specializes in somatic movement and somatic-based therapy. So basically body-based therapy. Sometimes people can be so engaged or ingrained in their story that they don't even have the words to say how they feel, but they feel it in their body. Okay. And so I do have somebody who specializes in that as well. Also, there may be people who, if I'm listening, and I do neurofeedback, and I have other non-medication approaches to helping people, and so I'm listening for that. If they're dealing with trauma, and if it's so deep, if you will, that they want to do virtual therapy, I already know in my expertise that virtual is not going to work. That's not, we need to be here. We need to be face to face. And so it's okay. I can give you a referral to somebody closer. So there are different things that I listen to. It may seem like we're just having a conversation. But like I said, the goal is what's bringing you here, what is your goal, and then I want to know how committed you are to that goal. Okay. So then I'll ask, okay, so if I'll say something like, talk to me about your goal. Why now? Some people may be coming because their family, their life is just falling apart. Somebody may be coming because, well, my mama told me I had to. Okay. Are you motivated on a scale of 1 to 10? If I told you that I could see you right now, you could come in today, where would you be? Oh, at a 1, or somebody say I might be at a 15. Well, right then, so that tells me you're motivated. Okay. And then I listen for things. I have people who they may say, oh, well, I've had a therapist, or I was working with somebody, and they're just not, like, they may say something like, basically the therapist they're not changing because of the therapist. And then I'm like, well, have you spoken to the therapist? Have you let them know how you're feeling, how you're thinking? Well, no. Well, and my advice would be, well, I want to encourage you before we even start. Okay. I want to encourage you to address that with your therapist, because that may be a person who doesn't speak up for themselves. Okay. So it's not, oh, you calling? Yeah, I'm going to take you. No. Okay. You know how they say all money ain't good money. We're not good for each other. And it's all good. Yeah. Nothing personal.
Okay, so I want to get into that neuroscience. I want to get into, because she a real brain, y'all. She's a real brain. So I really want to dive into that. A saying of Felice Martin, your brain is your brilliance.
Yes.
What clinical things that you do to help people, like, really get their brain in order?
Yes. And I love the brain. I was actually, of course, I talked to you about going to school, but in addition to that, I did outside training and was trained by a neuroscientist. So to really understand the impact of the brain. And our brain is our brilliance. Our brain, I always say the brain is a great equalizer. When you understand your brain, when you understand why and how you're responding, what's going on in your brain and in your body, then that really does make a big difference. So in terms of exercises, the first thing I would do is I want to understand what a person's threats are. What are your threats? What is the thing that makes you so anxious? What is the thing that makes you angry and you want to fight? You know, so once you understand how you're moving, let's look at the story that's associated with that. And that is in what's called the hippocampus part of our brain. I call it the library. Let's look at the library of your brain. And so once we do that, then we're able to look at those habits. What habits have you formed when somebody ignores you? You know, what do you do? And then we want to reprogram, we want to rewire those habits. So that's a very broad overview of what it is. But once you understand your brain, once you understand those threats, you understand the stories, you understand the habits, then you can make a decision to do the same thing or to do something different.
Okay. So when we were here, we would have been here, 3 years ago, and you hooked me up to the...
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that?
That's neurofeedback. And so oh my goodness, I love that because you're able, that makes me so excited. Like when you can literally see your brain waves, when you can see what's going on, and you were able to see your brain waves. And so we look at those brain waves. Sometimes if there's a certain, if you have more activity in the front of your brain in terms of the alpha brain wave. And I'm gonna talk to the audience about the 5 major brain waves and how they show up. So, because I'm like, oh my goodness.
I know that.
So you can see the light, that was really fun. So when you see, and let me back up. When you go to the doctor and you get they look at your heart, they do the EKGs. People are used to seeing that. But when you come here, we do like an EEG. We look at your brain waves. We look at the energy in your brain. And so when people see it, they're like, oh my goodness, you don't even think about that. And so basically we look at 5 major brain waves. We have the delta brain wave, then we have that theta brain wave, then we want to look at that beta, we want to look at that alpha, and then we want to look at the gamma. And so basically the brain waves, there are different frequencies because again, our brain is energetic. Isn't it something?
It is.
It's like, that's how we can look at it. That is so cool. Look,
I mean, God is so amazing. Like, the power you have. I mean, I know they say we don't use but so much percentage of our brain. Yeah. But the way the brain works, it's like so fascinating to me. It is such I'm so grateful. Yeah. Oh my God.
It really is a great equalizer. And so, and I'm just giving a broad stroke because we can there's layers and, to this. But when you think about the delta brainwave, that is very active. Well, it's when you sleep. Okay. Right? So you think that's a big brainwave. Okay. And so people who experience seizures are basically experiencing a disruption in their delta or that frequency. Okay. So, and so then from there we have that theta. That's like right before you go to sleep. And so that brainwave is, so the delta is kind of big, and so the theta would not be as big as that. If you imagine an ocean, the wave in the ocean, it may not be as big as that. And then when you look at that beta, there's going to be more activity there. So that's going to be, if a person has a lot of beta activity in an area of their brain that they shouldn't. So for example, if they're trying to sleep, but it's doing all this, a lot of activity, it's like those waves are crashing. Imagine that. So that's going to create that anxiety. I'm just kind of all over the place. And then from there, we'll look at that alpha, and the alpha brain wave is very active when people are praying, meditating, just focusing, doing those things that are relaxing. But if you have too much of that in the frontal lobe or the front part of your brain, that means that you're probably daydreaming. We don't need that up here. That means that you're not focusing. And so each brain is different. It's not about it being right or wrong. It's what it is. What brain waves are most active in certain parts of the brain. And then when I talked about the alpha brain wave, we love to see that a lot in the back because that means, you're visualizing, you're relaxing, you're just kind of chilling. We call that like the, when you are driving a car, it's an idling when your car is just there. Your car is on, and then it could either move forward If I need to move forward quickly, I can do that. If I need to move back quickly, I could do that as well. If I need to chill a little bit, that's what the alpha brain represents. And then we talked about the gamma, and that's a lot when you're learning. So your gamma is probably very active right now. You're like, wait a minute, what is she talking about? There's learning and teaching going on. And so I think once we understand that, we can see it through neurofeedback. And then also, the way I've been trained, and because I've learned and I'm passionate about it, I can hear what a person is saying and have an idea of what's going on in their brain as they're talking, which is so cool. I love it. Okay. And myself too. Some, they say practice what you preach. I practice what I preach.
So do you ever catch yourself in an alpha just daydreaming? Or do you, when you find yourself doing that, what do you do? What is the the exercise that helps you pop out of that? Yes,
and so for me, if I'm kind of alphaing out or kind of taking a lunch break, then I can bring myself back. And so I can engage in bilateral stimulation, which is just gently placing your hands on your knees. And then alternating to calm the body down. And then also we can do what's called butterfly hugs and just kind of tap in a little bit. Just to calm you down. Okay. Alternating, And I would love doing this like with the kids. I used to do school-based mental health therapy. And so I was teaching the kids this is like 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, even middle school students. And so we would do some bilateral stimulation to help focus, to bring them back into focus. And as you can see, if they're too hyper, that brings us back into focus. If we kind of vegging out or lunching out, it also helps to bring us back into focus. And so it's funny because they would say, we would do that exercise of like the butterfly hugs. And then they would say, Miss Felice, I feel sleepy. I'm like, well, that's good. That's how you calm down. So you understand what it feels like to be hyped up, and you understand what it feels like to be at rest or at peace or sleepy, if you will. And so once you understand, and all you're getting an understanding, then you understand and you know what's going on. You can self-regulate.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that.
You like that?
I've never used that.
Yes.
Or teach it to some people I know.
And think about even like for adults, if you're in a meeting or something, you can actually do the same movement with your feet. You're just alternating, tapping.
Okay.
Sometimes like when people do that one leg and they just have that thing going, that's really creating this anxiety in the body. It's overstimulation. I say stop.
Okay.
And let's alternate feet.
Okay.
And then you immediately feel a sense of calm in the body.
That happens so often. Excuse me. Excuse me. But, I know a lot of people that do this. And I do it sometimes too. Yeah. And when I see it, I'm like, hey, what's going on? So those are things that we look for in the nonverbals. Okay.
Because and you can check yourself. Hey, wait a minute, what's going on? What how am I feeling? Checking in with your body.
So how does that relate to meditation? Like what parts of that? Like what? I know you said when you're in the alpha when you're meditating.
Yes.
So when you're coming out of your meditation, what brainwave is that?
That would be.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry.
They call it Thalfa.
Thalfa? Okay.
That's a funny, because actually you're looking at the frequencies, and so basically what that is that would be a mix of like and then you call it like the low beta as well. So it's you're coming out, so you're at a relaxed state. You can, like I said, you can either move forward, or if you do, if you're meditating, laying down, I know I cannot think of the name of it, but when you do practice yoga, at the end, you just I cannot think of it, but you're just kind of laying there. I can't think of the name of it, but anyway, so you're laying there, And you can, if you have something to do for that day or you're finishing your practice, you can either lay there and go to sleep, or you can get up and you're ready to go. So so you have a combination of, it could either be that low beta, which is a combination of the alpha that relax, as well as that energy let me go. So if I would, in my mind, when I see it, so we talked about the delta being a big, and then the theta being a little bit smaller, and then we talked about that beta kind of being more active. So imagine if it's not like super active like that, but it's more like yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So you ready?
All right.
Let's call that the alpha. What is it? You have to stay ready, so you don't have to
be ready.
Yeah, that's what.
So you don't have to get ready. What is it?
Stay ready, so you don't have to. No, stay ready, so you don't have to get ready.
There you go. My mentor says.
Stay ready.
Okay. So the brain. I know you talk about the brain is protecting you. So give me some of that.
Yeah, so our brain is so beautiful and brilliant that it protects us. Even if there's a threat, if a person feels threat, then that's that amygdala saying, you see it, you take an image in. I always use the example of a dog. People love their dogs, but if a person has been bitten by a dog, if a person who's been bitten by a dog, if they see that dog, they are going into, oh my God, their protection.
Fight or flight.
Exactly. If someone loves dogs and they've had positive experiences with a dog, they would get down, oh, hey, look at the little doggy, or look at that big doggy, come here. I'm like, no, get away from me. I'm good. You stay over there and I'm going to be right over here.
Okay.
So that's an elementary example of that brain protecting. Okay. Or you think about if a person has to take a test, a big test. This is graduation time.
Right.
And so I'm pretty sure there was a lot of overactive beta stuff going on, or that anxiety, the test anxiety and all of that. So so how does the brain protect you? It creates a space of calming. So instead of just being super, you can be anxious. That's natural. And also, how do I calm that anxiety? What am I saying? I'm breathing. So that's going to calm that brain down. I can say things to myself. I'm prepared. So I'm talking myself through this. I've done all I can do. I'm going to go here and I'm going to do my best. I'm prepared for this. I'm ready. And so when you know what's going on, I tell people, it's in your head. And I don't mean it's in your head in a negative way. I mean, it's in your head. It's in your brain. It's in your head. You get to decide on how you want to show up and what it is, and what you want to do. Okay. So, that's life.
Yeah.
That's life. That's life. Yeah. I mean, stuff is it's not going to just be all peaches and cream all the time. It's we get to a place of decision. What will I do?
That's one thing that I learned in trading, and I don't know if you trade, but trading is it's all emotion. Yeah, it's good. All emotion. Wow. And I mean, and when the one thing I love about trading is that when you look at charts, and when for me, when I'm in a situation where I feel threatened or unsure or upset, I have trained myself to scale out. Okay, let's look at this because you have your minute chart, you have your 5-minute chart, you have your 15-minute chart, you have your year chart, you have your 10-year chart. So that's what I do in my life. I scale out. Hold on. Before I go, on a whole nother, to the left, let me scale out and just really look at this. You know what I'm saying? And see, because like you said, the charts move just like life. You have your higher highs, you have your lower lows, and you have to just mitigate or just be a part or just
Yeah.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
But not put all your emotion into it.
Exactly.
Because that's how you lose money.
Exactly. Exactly. And so you create a sense of calm. Like you see it, you're constantly moving, things are going on, and then you take that big picture view.
Yes.
You're able to calm yourself down.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean like you're at that delta, it doesn't mean you're asleep.
Right.
Right, but what it means is, okay, I'm calm, I'm getting the big picture, that vision part of my brain, that creative part of my brain is open.
Yes.
I'm willing to learn. You know, I've learned some things, and so you can take that information that you have and you can make an informed decision as opposed to being just, like all over the place.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, I have two more questions. So, what are a practice that you use to help someone with self-doubt? Because I know as an entrepreneur that freaking self-doubt, that thing is be loud. You like, stop talking,
Turn it down. Yeah. Self-doubt is a real thing, right? And so like you said, it's a thing. Yes, it's a thing. Self-doubt is a thing, right? And so,
yes.
So, and don't beat yourself up about it. I always say that it's one thing to be aware of what's going on. There's also another thing to make a decision to take action, and then whatever action you take, that's going to lead to some type of transformation. And so even when it comes to self-doubt, as an entrepreneur, I am reprogramming my brain every day. I am very mindful of what the thoughts are in my brain when I even wake up. There's a thing, we have that subconscious and that conscious mind and that correlation, and it's all moving together. And so I'm like, what am I doing when I wake up in the morning?
Right.
What am I thinking about when I wake up in the morning?
Right.
What I know, hey, this is what if a man don't work, then they don't eat.
Right.
So I cannot move from a place of panic. I have to know what I'm telling myself. I have to know what I'm telling myself. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad. Yes. I thank you for my daily benefits today. I thank you that I get to help people. I thank you that the people I get to help, they enjoy paying me for what it is that I do. They enjoy doing that they come in, that they are prepared. So what am I telling myself? And I always think of it like, there are different statistics that say we have anywhere between 30 and 50,000 thoughts that run through our mind on a daily basis. So my alpha, my creative brain, I see it like the brain is like this super highway. We got all this stuff going on. And so when you wake up, what are you tapping into? Are you into, oh my goodness, everything is bad, it's not going to work out for me, I can't believe this contract fell through, this person is leaving? No. And listen, if you find yourself, if I find myself in a place of, oh man, I got to pay this, we got to do this, whether is the insurance company coming through, how many clients are on the book, like, look, all things work together for my good. Yes.
That's it. All things work
and
in my
it
favor.
truly is, what are you feeding your mind? Isn't that amazing how we can shift our thoughts no matter what's going on around me? It will not harm me.
That's it.
Period.
That's it.
There's always opportunity to learn. There's always opportunity to grow. So yes, it is your mind. Master your mind. And even so, listen, when you master your mind, once you understand your brain, that's the physical thing, right? That's that muscle, that's the physical. Once I literally understand what's going on in my brain, once I'm able to see, there's this great video I share when I do talks about what's happening when we breathe. We're not just breathing, there is literally something going on in our brain. And I show it, some people say, oh wow, it looks like the brain is getting a massage when you breathe. So now not only am I breathing, I'm breathing with intention. I'm breathing because I'm massaging my brain. I'm engaged in bilateral stimulation because it's calming me down so that I can make a decision. Just like you were saying with trading, you need to know you can't be just jumping out doing stuff. Think, stop.
You have to have a plan.
Yes.
You have to have a strategy.
Yes.
And when you implement your plan, and you go and you're like, okay, you have to ask yourself, am I following my strategy?
Exactly.
Because if I'm not following my strategy, then I'm looking to fail.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking to fail immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
and that's not okay.
No.
And so you check in with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you feel that way, I mean, every day I wake up, I'm feeling good, I'm excited, and I'm checking in with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I'm checking in. What's going on? How am I feeling? What are my thoughts? Oh, let me stop. How did I jump into that thing over there? How did I jump into that? Oh, wait a minute. Let's get on back over here. I release that.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that even before we go to sleep, that subconscious mind is there's a vibratory affinity. So we're going to get that stuff back. So if I'm thinking about all the bad stuff, then guess what's going to happen? That's what I'm going to get. People always talk about manifesting. We're constantly manifesting. We're constantly pulling those thoughts. What thoughts are you pulling?
I say it all the time. You ask for what you want.
Yes.
This is you are creating an order when you speak it.
Yes.
And if you're saying, I'm fat, I'm sad, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't, I remember when I was in this therapy session with my therapist, and she was saying, if you remember, like right before Tupac passed away, all his raps, what he all say, all he talks about is dying.
Wow.
And he got it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
that's so sad too, right?
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
What he asked for, that's what he got.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
that's what he got.
Them words.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes, that's what he got. That's what he got. I'm going to walk the audience through a really quick exercise.
Awesome.
And the reason I want to walk the audience through this quick exercise is so that we get to experience the power of our brain, the power of our mind.
Awesome.
And so I want each person to, you can either close your eyes or open your eyes. It's up to you. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. But I want you to take your mind into your kitchen. Okay. And so when you go into your kitchen, I want you to get a lemon, and you may have some at the house. You may not. I don't care. But I want you to get you a lemon. Okay. It could be on the counter, in the fridge, wherever it is. Get that lemon. I want you to see yourself getting that lemon. I want you to hold that lemon in your hand. I want you to feel the lemon in your hand. Okay, so you feel that lemon, you look at the color of that lemon, you feel the skin of the lemon, you have it in your hand. And then I want you to go to get a sharp knife, and I want you to cut that lemon in half. Okay, and so you have that nice lemon that you put on the counter, you cut the lemon in half, and you're looking at the lemon, and then I want you to pick up whatever piece you want. This is 2 halves. So you pick up a piece of that lemon, and I want you to just lick the lemon. Okay? Yeah. And notice what happens. So thank you. That's it. You can put the knife back in, you can put the lemon down, you can put the knife in the sink. And I want you to think about what happened when you licked the lemon. What happened to you when you licked the lemon, Mona?
I felt tart.
Yes, yes. You felt it. And even when you were describing it, I saw you just kind of like, but check this out. Did you have a lemon? Right. Did you have a lemon? Exactly. You didn't have a lemon. But you responded. Your body responded to that thought. Isn't that something? Yeah. So what did I say? Energy goes where energy flows. So if that's what you're thinking, that shows you the power of our thoughts. That shows you the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So why not see ourselves already doing what we want? We have to see ourselves doing it. One of my greatest mentors, Reverend Ike, he says you already have to see yourself being, doing, and having the goods you desire. You have to see yourself doing it. Don't think about it. See yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Just like you saw yourself getting that lemon.
Yeah.
Okay? That's it.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so my last and final question that I ask everyone that I interview all the time is, what keeps Felice motivated?
What keeps Felice motivated? Okay. The first word that came to my mind is legacy.
Ooh.
Legacy.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so why does legacy come to mind? Legacy comes to mind, and I'm going to take us back to where I started. I told you I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood descendant. Very proud and happy to see my great-grandfather and his brother start this funeral home, right? And so with that, there was a rift. I don't even know the full story between them. And so I wonder if, and I ain't gonna even go too deep on the impact. Let me just keep that right there. But I always wonder what could have happened if their destruction wouldn't have taken place. I wonder that. And so I know that legacy, I know that the blood that flows in me is not to settle.
Right.
I know that there's a legacy in me. So my children's children's children keep me motivated. When my mind is wondering, how is this going to happen? Will this contract go through? Will this business idea go through? Will this, when my mind wonders that, I say yes. Because I already see myself. I know that I am a multi-million-dollar business owner. I'm an impact driven leader. That's what I am. That's what flows through my brain. That's what flows through my blood. That is my legacy. Yes. So legacy keeps me moving. Yes, ma'am.
It keeps her motivated.
And motivational. It's a thing. Yes. Yes. And let me say this, because I know I don't know if they can plug this in. I want people to remember, no matter what, we're always creating legacy. Because you saying yes to doing these interviews, they will, when you put them on the different social media things, the YouTube and all that stuff, that's legacy. Because 5 years now, I'm looking at Reverend Ike stuff that was from 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago. This man is still living. Yes. And so that's what I'm talking about. And I speak that for you. Yes. Your legacy.
Thank you.
These nuggets, it's going to hit somewhere.
I mean, most people answer what keeps them motivated is their family. Most entrepreneurs, that's what they say. It's their family or their children, or you know what I'm saying? Just because you gotta, it ain't no stopping.
Exactly.
You gotta, or you're not eating.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm telling you, legacy. Legacy.
Yeah. I mean, that's scripture. A man has a wealth for his children's children.
Yes, absolutely. His children's children. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah. So I have a big legacy dream. Yeah, I have a big one. And it's already. So
hold on, your grandfather and your uncle were there doing the Tulsa.
Yeah, they're in the Smithsonian Museum. Yeah.
Did you see them when you were there?
Yeah, I went and I saw them. And so the thing is that I always knew about the funeral home, but I didn't know like the impact and the legacy there.
Okay.
Right. And so the thing is that I didn't know the full story. And so now, my dad is still alive. So I do ask him questions, and there are things that, he'll share in terms of what his memory is. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was reading some information, like he actually, so his is SM Jackson and Esco Jackson. Esco Jackson is my grandmother's dad. Okay, and so they had the funeral home together, and I was reading somewhere that there was some type of breakup or something happened. And so, the rest is history. And so the thing is, one thing that, and I'm sharing this story more so, this really hits close. Not only is Esco and SM Jackson, are they brothers, there's also Michael Jackson's dad and his dad. So Joe Jackson's dad and my great grandfather and SM Jackson, they're brothers.
Get out of here.
Jackson legacy, right? And so the thing is that when people are watching that movie, they're seeing it from one perspective, and I'm seeing it from another lens. I'm like, wow. So what happened? I understand why this man was doing what it is that he was doing. So we got to understand that story. And then also for my bloodline, I'm like, so what happened? What's the difference? And there are pictures with the brothers and SM Jackson. They used to come to Oklahoma, and I could imagine that they would, that, hey, if they got an uncle, his dad, Joe Jackson, was probably like, yeah, y'all got a rich uncle, so I'm pretty sure could have been some investments from that, from that legacy. And so we see the impact of legacy, and it's real.
Wow.
It's real. So
we're supposed to go see that movie tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
No, on Sunday.
For
Mother's Day. We're supposed to go see that.
It's really good. And so I looked at it. I mean, of course, people will get different things from it. And so when I look at him, it's so funny. When I look at their dad, I see that part, and I see that in my grandmother too.
Wow.
It's so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
That pushed in or
it's like this. I was like, oh, okay, I see that. But it's pretty deep. But so it's deep, but you just never know your legacy and what that
my last name is Jackson, right?
And see, that's right there. right. It's like, wait a minute, let me see. Hey, we take that 23andMe, we might be out there somewhere.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know.
And so it depends on which one it is, because from my understanding, in doing that family genealogy, that research, it is Jackson, like that, the president, that Jackson, and then it's also Jack's son. And from my understanding, that's where the Jackson, that name came from, Jack's son. So it's Jack's son. So I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing: we can. Legacy is real, DNA is real, that stuff is real, and so we can take the legacy and we can continue to move forward to help our families, our children, or we can become enraged or angered and in bondage to those things. But that's one thing I often wish I could talk to my grandmother. Me as a woman, you know what I'm saying? Right. Not a teenager, not a 20-year-old, but me as a woman. I would love to have a conversation with her, because I look back and I'm like, man, they were just like not even a generation away from slavery. Exactly.
My grandparents are literally from South Carolina. My mom says she remembers picking cotton.
Wow.
And I'm like, you ain't picking
because it's hard to fathom. It's
right.
It really is. We think if you don't know your history, and that is what happens if you don't know your story. Okay, so if you don't know your story, then, and if our parents, our grandparents, parents never told the story because of shame, threat of violence. When I think about the Tulsa race massacre, we didn't learn about that in school. Right? We didn't talk about it. And so, so we can't even imagine, you can't imagine your mom picking no cotton.
Right.
But you must believe that when she was born, what was she like 44? What year was she born?
She was 49.
She was born in 49? Black people couldn't even vote.
Right. Crazy.
I was born in 69. You was born in 69. We were 5 years past the Civil Rights Act to vote.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah.
It was not a long time ago.
Right.
So we forget that. Yeah. So that happened. And then the shame that's associated with it, the fear, if we talk about it, then it makes it real, then something's going to happen. So those are conversations that, very few people had. And so as we go to museums and we find things, it's important for us to read it and not just dismiss it. Yeah.
And that's really one of the main reasons that I do these. You know what I'm saying? That I do the Motivational Mondays, and that I even film or post on social media because I look at it like this for my grandchildren.
Exactly.
They gonna know me.
Exactly.
You know, they gonna know me. You know,
Exactly.
just like Reverend Ike.
Yes. Yes.
It's fascinating because when you look at his videos, they are sharp.
Yes.
You know, they look good. You know, it's clear.
Yes.
So he knew what he was doing.
Yes.
He really was aware of what he was doing.
Yes, he was. And he said that his legacy is going to live forever.
Wow.
Yes, he did. And he was a man way before his time. And I just love what he did. It's amazing to see. And even when you look at his videos and you look out, and he had the Coliseums and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But he is just full of people, full of black people, giving them hope. And so that's one thing when, nobody can take your thoughts from you.
Exactly.
Nobody can take your mind from you. Nobody can. And so it's important for us to remember that. Yeah. What are you thinking? Think about what you're thinking about. That's metacognition. So, yeah. And so I would even encourage you, just like you said, what questions would you have? Write those questions down if you were able to have a conversation with your grandmother.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay, because you never know. You may have a dream. I went through a hypnotherapy session. It was so great with Marcia. You remember Marcia, the lady that did the when we had the event last year at the lake.
Oh, she did it?
Yeah, she did a hypnotherapy session with me, and it was so beautiful. People see different things. I was able to see this great crowd, my ancestors. I was able to see that, and it was just a beautiful experience, and having some of those moments, being able to say, okay, you can release, you're doing your thing. You don't have to worry. So. Legacy.
Yes.
All right, Mona. Motivational Monday. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Felice.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. How can my viewers find you? Give me your social medias and all of those.
I'm gonna keep it nice and simple.
Okay.
I am Felice Martin, LPC, on all social media platforms.
Awesome.
Period. Felice Martin, LPC. FELICE MARTIN, LPC, on all social media platforms.
Awesome. So, as always, I want you all to remember 3 things. That I am always rooting for you.
Yes.
That you can do anything you put your mind to. And that I love you, but more importantly, God loves you. All right. Take care.
Thank you. This is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing your time with me.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
My pleasure.
Yes.
I feel so good.
So do I.
Yes.
Yes.